Michael, do you have an announcement for everybody?
Yes.
Friends is actually an acronym for a bunch of words that start with the letters Friends.
I don't think that's true. But what Friends really is the whitest show from the 90s.
It really is, huh?
Friends is Denier spelled backwards, pronounced backwards.
Near.
There
Perfect.
Is very diverse with Italian, very ethnically diverse.
Very good. Boy, that was worth the wait. Here we go.
That's the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Falling Towers Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. If you'd like us to review a show, in the comments below, type WTF and the show with where we can find it. So you could put, for example, WTF Friends, and then say parenthetically Hulu or HBO Max or
HBO
whatever.
Max. I don't think it's on Hulu anymore.
With us, as always, co-captain, co-chair, co-CEO, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Here I am.
We also have a couple very special guests. We have Darth Schuhe. To know him is to know him. Hello, Darth.
Hey, Darth.
Hey, Darth.
And to love him is to shower often.
Yeah. We also have an actor extraordinaire. You know Rico Anderson. He's here as well.
Hello, peoples.
All right. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I have also perfected the kiss peace. Rico and I have been practicing that for a long time.
LL Cool J.
Not
All right.
together, though. Let's make that part perfectly clear.
All together now.
All
Okay.
together now.
That's right. So let's get into it. Again, if you'd like us to review a show, just type in WTF and that show in the comments below with where we can find it. And who knows, we might do it. Probably, but maybe. But also, please be sure.
Never really know.
Probably, maybe.
Hey,
Please
Michael,
be
what's
sure.
up with that big
Uh-oh.
thing of water you were drinking? Sorry, Ryan.
It's good to stay hydrated.
Jeez.
Whoa.
You're drinking
Man.
all the water, which is good. It's a good thing. Sorry, Ryan. Please continue.
That's okay. More on that later, actually.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have a very big special announcement for everybody, so stay tuned to the end of this episode. We will tell you about that. If you care anything at all about Falling Tower, if you care anything about Falling Tower, you will watch this show until the end, and you will get that special announcement. Everybody's making faces. Hey, this is recorded on the internet. Sometimes things happen. Basically, give this video a like. Please give us a 5-star rating and a good review. Give us some comments. Do what you do. Show us some support, and we really appreciate it. Let's get into it. Michael, you know what time it is. It's time for my favorite part of the show. It's also your favorite part.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, the bottom line?
Thought you froze again there.
Is that your favorite?
Your third favorite part.
No.
Oh, what's your favorite?
No.
My favorite is the voice of the narrator.
Okay. Well, stay tuned for that. Right now, it is time for my favorite, which is predictions, or as Michael likes to call it,
Predictions mints. I don't know.
You guys still haven't
I
perfected.
call it something.
Yep.
Prediction thin mints.
Now everybody that's watching is like, I knew I loved this show. These guys are on top of it. All right. So we like to predict. Michael and I have known each other for a very, very long time. Darth and I have known each other even longer than that. Rico and I have known each other even less long than that. But we can usually predict if the other person liked this show. Michael, I predict that you liked this show, but that you didn't love it. It's kind of like that time at Star Trek Las Vegas when we ate like a huge buffet. And then I said, Michael, how do you feel? And he said, I'm full, but I'm not stuffed. And
Ooh, that's tough at a banquet.
yeah. So I think you liked it.
I didn't go overboard at that buffet. I picked and chose.
Or kind of like that Elfie guy on that cartoon where he says, war, I like it, but I'm not in love with it, or something like that.
Elfo, you mean?
Yeah. What did he say?
He said, well, I like war, but I'm not in love with it.
That's funny.
Which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I predict
in context, it was hilarious. So.
Yeah. I predict that's how you felt about it. Darth, I predict that you like this show very much. And Rico, I predict that you also liked this show very much, because that's what you guys do. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah. I think that Ryan. So really, we're talking about this first episode. I mean, the show in general, it's been around. It's been in syndication, reruns. I mean, there was a time
resurgence
in the early 2000s. Yeah, you'd turn on TBS at any time of the day, and you see an episode of Friends.
Yeah, I think
but
there was
we're
like
talking
3 or 4 networks like that.
Right. TBS, BCAT,
And
SBT,
all A3, Niner.
Yeah,
all those
3,
networks.
4, 2, 3, 9, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then, so what we're talking about this first episode, and having watched this first episode, like we all have, hopefully, I would say that Ryan was not too hot on this episode. He's gonna be in the middle, though. I'm predicting somewhere like a 5, around a 5. But Darth likes everything, and so he is going to be more positive on this.
Face.
Maybe a 6 or 7. He's giving it away right now. Maybe a 6 or 7, or even an 8. Rico, however, on the other hand, will also like it as well.
What do you think, Rico? Do you have any predictions for us?
Although I've been wrong in the recent past, though.
Yep.
About Rico.
Personally and professionally.
Yep.
So I feel that
Professionally, he's actually a really good actor, which I did not think at first.
Thanks. We'll talk. So, Ryan, I feel like the show. I feel as critical as you can be about things, shows. You liked it and appreciated it for what it was. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, the person who did not like my acting in the beginning, I feel that I feel like you also enjoyed the show immensely. I think that you really enjoyed it. I think you really loved the show. You seem like a Friends type of person. You seem like the type of person.
A white guy, you mean? A white person?
I don't know why. I feel like I can relate to these characters.
You're a white guy. So yeah, and that leads to my good buddy Darth Schuhe. Darth, I think you like the show too, because I agree with Michael that I believe you like everything like me. Or wait, did Ryan say that?
Yeah. I didn't say it, but I do think it. And Darth is also white. So
yeah, I mean, you guys both have interchangeable.
Mostly white.
So, yeah. So Darth, I feel like you like the show too.
All right, Darth, do you have any predictions for whether Michael, myself, and or Rico like this show? I know, tough. You had no idea this was coming.
I know.
Like you've done the show like 100 times.
Or like we all just went and to give our predictions.
I think you guys are going to give it some low marks, to be honest. I think it's going to be some low, like 5 and below, maybe.
What do you think about yourself?
No trickery. No trickery.
My guess is the exact number is.
I think we're starting to get hints already that Michael may give it some low marks. You might be right about Michael here. He might be very critical of this show. We'll have to find out. When are we going to find out? Well, pretty soon. Everybody,
find out.
Everybody at home right now in the live chat or in the comments below, Michael knows where we're going because I can hear him moving his mouse. Make your predictions now. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Michael liked it? What about Rico and Darth? Do you think they liked it? In the live chat, in the comments below, make your predictions now. No rush. Take your time. While you're typing that out, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg is going to buy you some time by telling us all what this show is even about, because nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows what this show is about. But actually, Friends follows the personal and professional lives of 6 20 to 30-something-year-old friends living in Manhattan somehow. In this episode, the one where Monica gets a roommate, Monica and the gang introduce Rachel to the real world after she leaves her fiance at the altar.
Very good. Very good. All right. So everybody make your tabulations now. You should be finishing that up. While you're doing that, we are going to play. Boy, this is such a fun game. We compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got. Right, Mike?
Yeah, probably.
Correct expectations.
Close.
Delicious.
All right.
Correct expectation, Darth calls it. Correct expectation mints.
There it is.
That's the new name of this segment.
You guys keep this show going, and you can write a book of all new vocabulary.
We will give you the rights to that, Rico.
Thank you.
Because we are givers.
Good. I'll write the forward to it also.
So we compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got.
Correct expectation mints.
There it is. All right. So, Michael, before you watch this first episode of Friend entitled, what was it, when Rachel gets married, or
the one where Monica gets a roommate?
That's the one. What did you expect, if anything?
I expected to see a show that I've seen before many times. Not necessarily always the pilot, but like I said, there was a time in the early 2000s where you turn on practically any channel on the TV and you'd see a rerun of Friends. My wife also happens to like Friends. She's half white, and so that part of her really likes Friends. And so we've rewatched it at least a couple times, maybe 3 times already. We've rewatched the entire thing, all 10 seasons of Friends.
Holy cow, man!
Watched all 10 seasons over 3 times.
At least twice, maybe 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's dedication.
All right. So that's what you expected.
I've said this before. We watch TV before we go to bed. And so it's got to be something that she's seen before so she can fall asleep. But it's also got to be something that I like because I can't go to sleep if the TV's on. So.
Yep. It's a tough one.
There you go.
Well, Rico, before you watch this first episode of Friends, what did you expect, if anything?
I expected great comedy out of it. And I say that because the 90s produced some of the best comedy ever on TV. People can fight me on that, but the 90s was just hitting it out the park. Practically every hit show that came out. So that's what I was expecting. I was expecting really good comedy, well done, with just hitting all the marks.
Now, Darth, what did you expect before you watched this first episode? If anything, nice giant watch. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to come at this without knowing, the kind of the impact it's had on society and all that, right? I mean, there's a huge phenomenon. I'm gonna assume everybody knows that these guys were making like $10 million an episode towards the end or something like that. So you can't help but, yeah, right around there. you can't help but think like, okay, you know, maybe you set the bar kind of high, but you think like, well, this has got to be pretty solid for a sitcom if all these guys, you know, and you know, everybody seems to love the whole cast and everything. I'm saying if you'd never seen it before and you just kind of heard, you know, the word on the street, I guess.
The buzz.
The buzz.
All right.
Buzzword.
So that's what you expected before you watched this first episode.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I expected. Now, I don't think I'd seen Friends when it first kind of made its first original run, although 10 years, geez, that's quite a long run.
Yeah.
And
right?
like everybody else, you turn on TV and Friends is there lately, you know, the last few years. So I feel like, you know, so I've certainly seen a ton of episodes. I don't remember. I didn't remember if I had seen the first episode, but I'd seen a bunch. The first 2 times I watched Friends, it was the same episode, the Julia Roberts episode. So the first time I watched it, there was Julia Roberts. And then the second time I watched it, it was the same episode. That happened to me one other time with Ren and Stimpy. People were like, oh, you got to watch Ren and Stimpy. So I watched it and they went to like the moon. And then people were like, you got to watch Ren and Stimpy. I'm like, okay, it wasn't that funny, but I watched the second episode and it was the exact same episode. Anyway, but I gave Friends a third try, did not give Ren and Stimpy a third try. Anyway, WTF, Ren and Stimpy. So Friends is pretty funny, pretty good comfort food, pretty popular. So I expected this first episode to possibly be that. And I expected that I may recognize the episode. But that's what we expected. What did we actually get? Michael, what did you actually get?
I got a first episode that was not the show that I remembered. Every scene was short. First of all, that was like the weirdest thing to me. Like every scene is like super short and it's just kind of scene after scene after scene, especially at the very beginning. It's just all short vignettes of them being friends in the coffee shop together. But then even that, after the story kind of unfolded a little bit more, every scene just seems very short to me, especially for a sitcom, like a 3-camera sitcom where they've got an audience, a studio audience. And yeah, it just seemed like the short scenes. And then the jokes were dumb jokes. And at this point, the characters were not as fleshed out. They kind of, I think, had very, to me, they seemed kind of thinly drawn. Obviously, like they had some nuance, but later on, obviously, as the show developed, they became much more fleshed out. But this, in the beginning, well, I wouldn't say that they're generic. They've got some nuance. I mean, like, for instance, Phoebe's got that whole backstory of her mom died, and then at 14, and then she moved out, you know, with her uncle, or her stepdad went to prison, and then she like went on the streets and like lived with this guy, and he died. Like, I mean, but still, like, there's so much more to her character later on. But maybe I'm looking at it through the lens of because I know what happens.
You already know, yeah.
Okay, Rico, what did you actually get?
So there's this comedy book called The 8 Characters of Comedy, which is a great book, a great study in comedy. I actually took the class, and they focus heavily on Friends and other shows from the 90s, but they really focus really heavily on Friends. And
but there's only 6 characters in Friends, though.
I know, but I'm just saying they still focus on the different characters of comedy.
What's the book called? The 8 Characters of Comedy?
8 Characters of Comedy.
8 Characters of Comedy.
I guess all you really need is 6. So.
Well, you know, it all depends.
There's other 2 and you mix them into the first couple.
Well, you have like your basic characters, like, you know, your lovable loser, your the a-hole, the bitch,
the ladies' man,
the goofy one, the flight,
the idiot,
you know, all that.
One,
Yeah, the idiot, all that. So you have
the clean freak
characters. Yeah. And how do they all like live together in a world, blah, blah, blah. And so
sarcastic one.
Exactly. All those different type of characters. So now you got a show like Friends, and what I felt from this first episode was a good representation of what these characters were going to be like during the course of however long the run was going to go at the time when it first started out, if that makes sense. We got really wonderful differences in the characters. I love that type of 90s humor. So I got what I got what I thought I was going to get, that I was going to enter the door, and I got what I thought was going to be in the swag bag. So.
Swag bag.
Swag bag of comedy.
Darth, what did you actually get? And Rico, don't think that you haven't escaped without telling us which character you are of the 8 comedy characters.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you think so?
We know what Darth is.
Oh really? I thought I was kind of always more of a Rachel, but
A Rachel,
You
but
look like her.
yeah, a little bit, from certain angles.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Rico, what are you, real quick? Oh boy. Oh dear. Did we lose you, Rico? All right.
I'm here.
Did you tell
Darth's
us
turn.
which character you are, Rico?
Later,
No,
we'll do that
because-
later. We'll do that later.
Yeah,
Darth,
all
what'd
right.
you get?
Darth froze
Well,
on
what
the
did I
word
get?
bra, by the way.
Yeah, you
I
froze
did.
after
Oh,
you said the word bra. Yeah.
damn, that's too bad because my
That's wrong.
punchline after that was better. Without giving too much of a review, I got I watched a heck of a lot of sitcoms in my
Oh god.
Oh,
I
boy.
know.
27 years of being on this planet, and I don't know, kind of a lot of what do you call them? Typical sitcom dialogue, typical sitcom jokes.
Yeah.
What is boilerplate? Is that how you use that term? Like kind of your
Yeah.
generic fill in the blank.
All right.
Yeah, that is what I got or expected.
Great.
Wait,
Makes
got. That's what I got.
makes a lot of sense to me. All right.
Darth
So-
Schuhe.
I have no idea what
Very
I just saw.
articulate. I'm a very articulate fellow.
I'll
That's
tell.
everyone else.
So everybody at home right now in the comments below, let us know, now that you've heard what Darth got, let us know if you think he liked it or didn't like
Yeah.
it.
Now that we half heard he got in between
Yeah.
what he got in between freezing.
So I'll tell you guys what I got. What I got was I had not seen this episode before. So this was my first time seeing the pilot. It turned out I did not recognize any of this. I got a show that was slightly different than what I remember. Like what Michael said, the cuts were super quick. There was also a different delivery in what they were trying to do. You can clearly tell that the storytelling aspect of it had evolved later on, if you'd seen all these other episodes. So this was certainly a different way that they were trying to convey things with the heavy-handed cut tos kind of thing, where he's like, where am I going to find another woman? And then it cuts to Rachel or whatever. And I didn't realize that this was a show from the very beginning that was introducing the Ross and Rachel thing. Like I didn't realize that like the whole start of this was Ross and Rachel. So I got a show that was a little different than what I remember and or expected, but still enjoyable, still brought the laughs. Wasn't quite at the level that I remember though.
Mhm.
Which is usually the case, right? Usually sitcom pilots aren't as good as season 4, for example.
They always get better. Yeah.
He-Man was terrible.
No, you watch your mouth. He-Man was one. He-Man was a 9 and you know it.
9.
And I don't just mean his looks.
And of course, we all loved My Little Pony.
Is that a euphemism?
Well, but I never saw that one before, so it's not like I watched it in the 80s and then we watched the reboot and we're like, oh, this is completely different.
It
So
ruined my Little Pony.
So, Michael, you seem to be the most critical of this show, right? You seem to not like a lot of things. Were there some things that you did like about it?
yeah, I liked a lot, actually. I thought that the jokes were stupid, but I thought there was some good comedy that came from the characters and the acting, the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, when Rachel was on the phone with her dad and she's like, I don't need him. I don't need to get married. I don't need your money. Wait, no, I didn't. I say I might not.
Might not need it.
She's like, yeah. Like that was funny. Like her acting, and then like Ross's acting. I think the two of them probably had some of the best acting in this episode for sure.
Mm-hmm. I always found it was like a lot of what made the show good was how much the actors committed. Because it's got to be, you know, sometimes you got to be kind of self-conscious or aware that there's an audience there. And people like Joey are willing to just be as dumb as it needs to be for the laugh. Or people like Chandler really deliver an okay funny line and make it funny with their delivery. The one that never really did it for me was Phoebe. I know she was supposed to be funny as hell, and it was almost like she created her own trope of future female characters. I felt like characters were like, after Friends started, there was like the Phoebe type kind of started popping up more and more. Like, I feel like that lady Progressive Insurance, that lady,
they're both improv.
when she first popped up, the first commercial, I was like, this lady's just doing a Phoebe impression.
They're not only both improv actors, they're both from the Groundlings.
Really?
Yeah, well,
that girl's doing a Phoebe impression.
I have to say though, one, you know, like, so as actors, you know, we all know that one of the biggest things is vulnerability. And
I don't know that. I'm not an actor.
Well, you learned something today, Michael Kingdom. And no, but vulnerability is key. It's essential. It's everything. With being vulnerable, you get to affect people who are watching you in ways where, like what Ryan was saying, you know, you got your Joey, who is, you know, the dumb one. Well, Matt LeBlanc in real life may not be a dumb person, but he is portraying that he's committing to that particular type of character. I will say, as far as Phoebe is, there you go. I will say, even as far as Phoebe is concerned, I mean, you know, coming off with her character, kind of, you know, a little on the ditzy side, but showing there's a lot of vulnerability that came with the growth of her character and stuff like that. So I really do agree on the whole premise of their commitment to these roles, and it's one of the things that just really showed just some great work being done by the people in front of the camera.
Darth, were there good things that stood out to you on this show?
Yeah, one thing that I heard about this show, and I gotta agree with, is the chemistry of these actors together. You know, I feel like I feel like that must have been like the driving force that propelled the longevity of this show.
But did you feel that chemistry in this first episode? Because once again, we're talking about the first episode only.
Yeah, it's tough to separate yourself from watching any other episodes and seeing these relationships, this chemistry. Well, they're definitely like comfortable with each other. You definitely, they don't feel like a bunch of people that strangers that they just threw together, and you know, it's like their first time acting together or anything. You know, you do feel a little. Maybe
they did rehearsals.
Actors that didn't work. Yeah, maybe these are like actors that weren't working, and now they all got like a TV gig, and so they got like kind of something they all kind of relate to or something. I don't know.
Definitely got the commitments.
So, okay, well, let's throw some mud then. Michael, what did you not like about it? You kind of hinted
Ryan,
at
you have to tell us what you like, though.
Well, I was saying, like, I like their commitment. Out of it. I like their commitment. I think what they did well was, I feel like later on, what was great about the show was the writing and the acting. But I feel like in this specific episode, the writing was okay, but the acting was still good. The actors still made okay jokes funny. For example, this was more of the writing, but when Joey and I guess Chandler moved the table over to see what's going on at the door, it's a simple, silly, not that great joke, but it worked, you know, because they just moved the thing over, and it actually made me laugh. And sometimes you catch yourself, you're like, why am I laughing? Is it that funny? I don't know, but it worked. Whatever it is, it worked, you know. Chandler actually did some things that I was like, okay, I get why people liked him. He sold a couple, like, the line was somebody said, he's like, oh, you seem so upbeat. And Rachel says, you would be too if you got these boots 50% off. And his response was like, how well you know me, which is a fairly funny line, but his delivery killed it. You know, it was very funny. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest thing, was the delivery of the lines, where they committed. They had their characters kind of already fleshed out in that first episode, which is not easy to do. Obviously, not fully. Like, we know Phoebe's character changed, right? Right. In this first episode, she was just kind of like the hippie. She became less of the hippie and more of quirky. You know what I'm saying? And Joey changed a little bit more to, I mean, they all kind of changed. Monica became a lot more of a neat freak. That was her thing, right. You know? So it was just good commitment by the actors.
What I didn't like.
Kill it. Tear it apart.
Like I said, like, a lot of the jokes were terrible. Like, for instance, I wrote this one down specifically. When Ross is talking about how his wife turned into a lesbian. And Chandler's like, sometimes I wish I were a lesbian. Oh, was that out loud? Like, that joke, was that out loud? First of all, I remember hearing that in Cheers. I remember Norm saying that before about something.
Feels like a coach line, doesn't it?
Yeah, they recycle in sitcoms. They're always recycling each other's jokes. They're always ripping off each other's jokes.
But it wasn't that funny either. I mean, maybe I'm looking at it through the lens of 2022, where it's like, we've seen all these shows, we've seen all these jokes. Maybe back in the 90s it was fresh. I don't think it was, because I remember hearing that joke on Cheers, which was, you know, late 80s, early 90s.
At least 15 years earlier,
Yeah, I think that's also just that particular style of comedy that a lot of writers back then were all about, just kind of passed around. And a lot of those writers knew each other too. So, you know, I'm sure secretly on the down low, they were like throwing jokes, you know, bouncing jokes off each other, going, hey, what do you think about this? Bam, it's in the script.
Maybe they're just like, it's not very funny, but Chandler will say it funny. He'll say, and Chandler's like, there's no real way to say it that funny. I'll try my best.
You're just talking here. Yeah.
I also didn't like the slow ballad with like the brooding, like there's just like a scene where there's like both Ross and Rachel, like separately, or just like this kind of slow, sad ballad starts playing, and they're both just brooding.
Like, turns into a soap opera.
Right.
Well, like Ryan
they did a lot of that going forward.
Yeah, a lot of these things start out greasy. You know,
greasy.
Like, you know,
another line that was delivered well, and I didn't really appreciate Ross much until later. But he's actually really good. He's actually funny. What's his name? David Geller or something like that? Schwimmer. Ross Geller. That's right.
Ross Geller, David Schwimmer.
So one thing that he said was, when I think Phoebe said some weird shit, or someone said some weird stuff, and Ross turns to maybe Rachel and he says, the word you're looking for is Anyway.
Yeah, that was probably the best delivery, I thought. That was probably one of the funniest stuff.
Right, because that's in the delivery. It's a funny line, but if you just deliver it like, I think the word you're looking for is anyway, you know, like, okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
but the way
he saved that one.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
But to me, one of the best lines though is like, and again, when Rachel's on the phone with her father and she's like, it's a metaphor, Daddy. Like,
yes, that's
just
funny.
That line is it's okay, but then just the way her delivery sold that so hard.
In comedy, one of the things that makes the funny a lot of times are words and how words are pronounced. Some words are just going to be funny no matter how they're said, but other words are going to be funny the particular way they're said. Sometimes it's with a pause before you say it. Sometimes it's a funny word no matter what, like snickerdoodle, you know? So it's just he rhymes laughing. So, you know, and again, it's all about how you the delivery. And I just think these guys they nail those things. Even something like anyway.
Yeah. Anyways. Bunch of cracker comedy.
Really?
That's funny because it's got those case sounds. Cracker comedy.
And it also had that very famous song by, I believe it was the Rembrandts. They were like a one-hit wonder. But then I don't know if they wrote the song.
I skipped that right away.
If they wrote the song for the show, or if they just had the song.
Yeah, it's from the 80s or something like that. The song was like a one-hit wonder, like
but
10, 15 years earlier, something like that.
Oh,
big and known now,
Yeah.
It's the Friends theme now. I mean, that's all it is.
I skip that song every time I watch Friends.
I was listening to something.
Whoa. Right.
We both had it there.
I was listening to a DJ spin, and he went into this whole segment of TV shows intros, and he played like the whole theme to Cheers, and he played
that's a good song.
He played the whole theme to Friends, and to just some of those famous songs that are very synonymous with the TV shows.
Cheers, I would never skip ever. But here's a fun trivia question for you guys.
Ready?
How many claps are there in the Friends theme? 4 or 5?
Four, right?
4. No, there are. I see 4 claps.
Oh, you're gonna be here a long time then, because he's gonna make you say otherwise. It sounds like 4.
It's 4, yeah.
It is 4.
It's funny though.
But you didn't make us question it.
A trick question.
You didn't make us question it.
Wait a second.
Right? No, because there was like a YouTube video that I watched where like Matt LeBlanc was being interviewed by somebody, and they asked him that, how many claps are there? 4 or 5? And he's like, 5, right?
I don't watch the show. Come on.
Right. I only did it for 10 years.
Jeez. Another thing I think that might have made this show work is that most sitcoms feel like they have to create extreme characters, right? Like the ditz has to be really ditzy, and the horny guy or the slutty girl has to be really horny guy or really slutty girl, or the whatever has to be very, and they weren't, which is kind of against conventional comedy. They just have a hint of ditziness or a hint of anal retentiveness or a hint of dumb guy. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have a ton. So now you're really reliant on the writing and the acting, because the character tropes are not, those, because the extreme character tropes are like ripe for comedy. You just put them in any situation and, the dumb person has to pass a philosophy test for their friend because they're sitting in for him. And it's like, Chrissy Snow's never going to be able to do it or whatever. Coach can't remember anything. But they were a lot more
Chrissy
muted.
Snow.
Chrissy Snow was brilliant. You know it.
But I'm really interested to know who we are as the Friends characters. Let's figure this out.
Okay. This is a game that I love.
I know that.
Okay.
So let's vote for what we think the other people are, because I know we all think that we know what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you guys think that I am?
Michael. That's a toughie.
I think, Michael, you're a little Chandler-y.
Okay.
I see a little Chandler in you, buddy.
Let's preface this by saying that I thought of this with Seinfeld. And I thought with myself and Michael and Darth that we were the perfect blend. Like if you look at George, Jerry, and Kramer. Then they are
and
those
Elaine.
Those 3, if you look at those as red, green, and blue, Michael and Darth and I are like the orange, yellow, and purple. We're like the blend of each of those, because I think Michael, I always viewed him as a blend between George and Kramer, and I'm a blend between Kramer and Jerry. And Darth is a blend between George and Jerry.
Oh, nice.
We're talking about Friends now, though.
Yeah, Rico. So anyway, so that's my preface, is that I've played this game before, and that's the types I see us as. So yeah, so Rico, you say Mike is a Chandler.
Well, I see a Chandler with mixed in with Ross. I see a Chandler and a Ross.
See, I told you the blend is the way to go.
For Mike as well. Yeah.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
What about for Rico?
Yeah, because I'm definitely getting Phoebe vibes for Darth. So let's hang on there.
Rico definitely has some Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely has some Rachel. Definitely some Rachel.
But I'm saying thank you. Should I be?
Yeah, but he also has some delivery like some Ross when he gets like, I told you about whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I can have some Chandler delivery too for that ass too, you know. So
nope, Ross and Rachel. Ryan though.
Yeah, shit. I just thought of someone that I never thought I identified with, but maybe I do a little. Maybe Darth would say that I do.
Monica, Joey.
I don't know. You guys tell me.
I would say Monica, Joey, because he's definitely he's definitely the ladies' man like Joey.
Joey,
but he's definitely like the control freak like Monica.
Yeah, I don't see any of the other characters in Ryan.
But you see me in any of the characters.
Right.
Heyo, zing.
No, I was thinking like Darth might think I'm like a Monica because I'm like a neat freak, but I'm not really a neat freak. But I'm like, I don't really see. I don't think I'm a control freak either.
Yeah, I'm looking at the guys behind you. Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
I can see some Chandler though in you.
Yeah, back in the day, I would have thought I might have been like a Chandler Ross blend, but I really don't know. I don't think I fit in with these guys. They wouldn't like me.
Actually, I'm sorry. Not Chandler. I think I see a little more Ross in you than Chandler. Ryan T. Housen.
In Ryan?
Yeah. A little more Ross with some Joey.
And some Monica and some Rachel and some Phoebe.
I'm like a cake. What about Darth?
Yeah.
Oh, Phoebe, sure.
Yeah, Darth
Phoebe and Ross. He's Phoebe and Ross.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Phoebe. I say Phoebe and Phoebe.
No, he's not Phoebe and Phoebe.
No, Phoebe.
He's Phoebe Ross.
Like Phoebe's brother.
He's definitely. Oh, that's not a bad one. But he's definitely Darth. Is the thing about Darth is he's definitely the sensitive guy like Ross, but he can be a little flighty like Phoebe.
Joey. Oh.
No, Joey's
intelligence.
Joey's just the good-looking idiot. You know, I don't see Darth as an idiot, but definitely flighty.
Joey could be flighty.
Wait, Darth was saying I was Joey. What the?
Ladies man.
You're like the ladies man part of Joey.
No, I know.
You know those videos where the video like freezes and it's like, and that's when the friendship.
Yeah. But I can see Darth as the Ross because Darth gets very flustered sometimes, and he definitely acts like Ross when he gets flustered.
I've never seen a flustered Darth. I need to see that.
Oh, it's adorable.
Aww, I want to see
easily flustered
Darthy.
Doesn't take much.
Flustered Shuey.
Anyway. So we've all
that was fun.
We've all been sufficiently slightly insulted, but also slightly fun.
Complimented. Yeah. Hey, can I say yes. Since you mentioned Seinfeld, it's interesting you mentioned that because I've always been curious because Friends extremely rode the coattails of Seinfeld. Like
I thought so
it ran
too.
Right afterwards. Yeah, they intentionally wanted it. They even set it in New York so that it could kind of get that Seinfeld. Like they were trying really hard. They're writing the whole Seinfeld thing hard.
See, I always assumed that, but I don't know if it was based on anything. I just always felt like Friends was like the next Seinfeld, but for a younger generation. You know, like Seinfeld was like 30s to 40s, and Friends was like 20. As soon as it came out, I just always thought, oh, is this supposed to be like the next,
yeah,
you know, like
because it is pretty much a show about nothing.
Yeah,
pretty much a show about nothing too. It's just they're friends,
buddies, just a bunch of buddies. Yeah.
So what's your show about? Well, they're friends.
I love the title.
I'm listening. Sold.
That's all we got.
What do
they do?
A generic title. They just hang out like friends.
They do nothing.
They do nothing at home. They do nothing in the coffee shop. They do nothing.
And where do they live? New York. So the main set is the apartment, and then the other set is the coffee shop.
Right.
Whoa, just like Seinfeld.
So before we move on too far into the next big segment, did you guys have any favorite moments or moments that made you laugh the most? I know, toughie.
That anyways line was pretty funny.
Which one?
Yeah.
I think the word you're looking for is
Anyways, I already talked about like the conversation between on the phone of Rachel and her dad, because really it's just Rachel talking to nobody,
nothing,
doing a brilliant job acting and being hilarious as well. So
I like
and making sure that phone doesn't block her face too. You gotta keep that phone down.
Right. Oh, good point. Good acting tip.
That's it.
I'm learning a lot about acting today.
Go forth, young man. I actually loved the standout scene when Rachel goes to work and she's talking to her coworker and she says one thing and she turns to her and goes, "You had sex." It was that was hilarious.
Monica.
Yeah. Monica. Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you watch a different episode?
No.
You know,
no. She says ask one question, and she's like, "You had sex."
They can tell.
That was
yeah. I like the table pushing. That might have been one of the funniest, or the other things I mentioned in the past. But one other one that I thought was pretty funny was when Monica says, "It's not a date. It's just dinner and not having sex." And Chandler says, "Sounds like a date to me." Okay. That's funny. That's funny, and that's a well-written line. Okay.
Well, more importantly, it's like true to his character as well. So
yeah,
that's probably helping establish that character right there.
There were a couple of really nice moments, funny moments in the room in the doctor's office when Ross was in there with his ex, and he was playing with the.
Wait.
No, you must have watched the second episode already. Rico.
Yeah, well, there was no doctor's office. He just showed himself out.
On that note.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move forward past that.
Hey,
Hey there, Rico. Hey, Michael, do you have an announcement for everybody?
Yes. My announcement is that I love everybody in the world. And that's not just me being over the top and weird. It's maybe a little weird, but it's mostly just kind of how I'm a hippie. So maybe I have a little Phoebe in me too. So, but with that being said, I also wanted to say that this is going to be my last episode of Watch the First. As a regular co-host, I'll come back as a guest host now and then, but this is going to be my last episode with my friends, talking about Friends, as a regular co-host of Watch the First. The end.
I guess that's it. And Michael said he wanted to do Friends because he wanted to be with his friends and talking about Friends. So that was a great choice by him. And then he shit on the episode, but whatever.
It wasn't my fault that the episode was not as great as I remember. But
so basically, you're going to pull a Tasha Yar and just pop up in a few episodes here.
Exactly. That's a great metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, Daddy.
We know how it goes.
Well, okay. Is there anything else you want to say about that as to why or what or who, or you just want to say, that's it. You guys will see me again sometime.
So who is me?
Keep an eye out for a mic appearance.
What is that? This will be my last episode of Watch the First as regular co-host. And why? That's the real good question. And that's got probably does deserve a little bit more of an explanation. The why is that I need my weekends back. It's just we spend our Saturdays usually recording this show, and then I edit the show.
Don't listen to him. It's live on Wednesdays.
Live on Wednesdays. So live on Wednesdays, we record the show. I work on Wednesdays, and so I'm always busy. And that's why I can't be there for the live chat while we're recording. But I need my weekends back. I've been super busy. I started a new job. I'm really enjoying my job, but it's a lot of work. But more than that, it's just I feel like I've been running myself a little thin, and I want to be thicker. I've been losing weight. I need to put
Yeah,
on
so you
some
are
weight.
a little thin.
And there was something else I was going to say, but Darth distracted me now with a hilarious joke about my weight loss. What was it? Well, yeah, it was just I guess the health scare. It wasn't really a scare for me. It was just when I went into the hospital because I was talking to my wife after dinner and I would say something but it didn't come out right, or I was like looking for the right word and it never came to me. Turns out I was just like dehydrated, maybe a low blood pressure after working out particularly hard that evening. That's how I'm losing this weight, is by working out. But my health is definitely my number one priority. And I definitely, I feel like, I think this is maybe the real crux. Maybe I had to talk my way through it a little bit. But the real crux is I feel like I've been a little stressed lately. And I don't like feeling stressed, especially because stress could lead to another stroke. And I have loved doing WTF, not for the exposure, not for what little fame I get from doing this show. I love doing it because I get to talk to my friends. I get to talk to my friends, have fun, make jokes. I've met a lot of new friends. Like I've met Rico through this show, by the way. No, I knew Rico before this. Yeah, so that's what's been the funnest thing for me about this show, interacting with the fans, friends. I don't know, people, our friends that watch the show. I hate to call them fans because it makes me sound like narcissistic. Like, oh, these people are my fans.
We'll handle the narcissism.
No, yeah, Rico's got it all over. So I think that's probably the more the crux is I feel like I've been running myself a little thin and a little stressed out, and I need to take a step back a little bit. And I guess the time that I spent in the hospital also kind of had me thinking a little bit like, is this what I want to do with my life? Not that I don't like doing this, but I feel like there's other things that I want to focus my free time on. And I want a little bit more free time so that I don't have to like feel like I'm running myself ragged and burning the candle at 5 ends. So if you picked out a reason in all that rambling that makes sense to you, go with that.
I just want to get one of those 5-ended candles.
Yeah.
They smell great. No, it sounds like there was a lot of reasons in there.
Yeah, I think I've been like thinking about it for a little while, but then the stint in the hospital kind of made me think I have to do this. So
it was like the final straw.
Yeah.
The final
the
nail.
Shortest straw.
The final countdown. Well, thanks for that announcement, Michael. So everybody, this isn't the last you're going to see of Michael, but probably a lot less regularly, definitely a lot less regularly. So, soak it up, enjoy it. He's here now. Make sure to enjoy all that creamy goodness. And, Michael and I are partners with Falling Tower, so we're going to figure out what's going to happen next with the show. We know at least for the next couple of weeks, we'll have a nice guest co-host coming in while we sort things out and figure things out. The show's going to keep going. So check us out next week and the week after. Special guest co-host you're going to love, but not with Michael after today. So, soak it up.
Show some love to Michael in the comments, everybody. Shower him with love. Make it weird.
Just say hi.
Make it weird.
Shower
Make it weird
with your love. Remember that song?
Just give nothing but
Who was
never
that? Never heard that song in my life.
Shower me with the love.
Yeah, but who is it?
What was that?
Baby.
Surface.
Surface. Wow, good knowledge.
It was Surface.
All right. We got to move on, everybody.
Nice.
I can get really sidetracked with music talk.
And
Darth can get sidetracked with
anything.
I believe the word you're looking for is anyway. All right. So it is now time. Bruce Lee's favorite moment.
The horrible deuce.
There it is. The terrible twos, the final 2 questions of the show, the 2 most important questions. That's why we call it the terrible twos.
The fantastic duh.
All right. So question number 1 is, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10.
Die guten zwei.
Right. What would you give this first episode of Friends, entitled the one where Monica gets a roommate?
So I thought about this a lot, and I came up with a number, and I have to describe why this number works for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I were going to watch this show back in the 90s, I would have given this maybe an 8 or a 9. If I were watching this show in 2022 for the first time, I would have probably turned it off after the first few scenes. If I'm going to be watching this show as I am, having seen it before, which is this is going to be my real number. I don't know why I have to preface this part, but the real number is I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, just for the reason that I know what's to come, and I know that it's so much better than this episode.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay. He's grading on a curve because he knows the future. It's like Gandalf when they're like, but he's just a hobbit. He's like, I think that good things are going to come from this little guy.
The future, Ryan?
That's right, friend for life. That's what Conan would say to Andy. All the way to the year 2000. In
the year 2000.
La Bamba would sing that. In the year 2000. Rico, what would you give this show on a scale of 1 to 10, by the way?
Oh, so I was not a friend of fans.
Spell it out.
Oh,
friend of friends.
I was not a fan of Friends. Yeah, try saying that fast 5 times. I was not a fan of Friends.
I was not a fan of Friends. I was not a fan of Friends. I was not a fan of Friends. I was not a fan of Friends. I was not a fan of Friends.
Michael King Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. All right.
I'm a word guy. What can I say?
Hey, I was not a fan, and honestly, I really had no interest in watching the show when it first came out. My appreciation for the show came actually, ironic enough, when I was going through a breakup and I was crashing on my buddy's couch and he had no cable, and Friends would come on like late at night on Channel 5 or something like that. And he would watch it religiously. And of course, I'm going through my whole breakup woes, and I'm just like, why am I being tortured even more?
But then slowly and eventually.
But slowly and eventually, it actually, the laughter actually helped me, because it's a really bad breakup. But also just as an actor being more into comedy and auditioning more for it and just being more in that mix, I started to appreciate it even more for what it was, because again, the type of comedy that Friends does was just like excellent in so many ways. So with all that said, 10 years later, I will give Friends a solid 7.5.
Interesting. What about you, Darth? Scale of 1 to 10? I know.
You always ask the tough ones.
Yeah, you had no idea it was coming.
It's always the quiet ones, Darth.
All the points I'm going to give this show is going to be on the actors, the chemistry of the actors. So that being said, I'm going to give it like a 4. If it wasn't for the chemistry of the actors, I would be giving it much lower marks. Like I said, I've seen way too many sitcoms. Like the jokes are just, you see them coming to my way. I know when they're writing these things, it's like they want to have a joke like every second. So that's where they get all these generic jokes. Like, who cares? It's a throwaway joke. Just throw 3 more in there. That's why you hear all the exact same jokes in all the sitcoms.
Wow. So you're saying that it gets a 4 because in the last 20 years, you've already heard these jokes before.
That's the problem. I don't know. I'm trying to put myself. I don't think I watched this back, and I don't think I saw the pilot back in the 90s. But I'm trying to imagine back then, if say I was watching this pilot when it first aired, I don't think it would have really grabbed me. I feel like it's kind of one of those shows where, you know, they introduce some kind of plot element, like the will they, won't they, and then they're hoping that kind of grabs people. You want to see this story continue. Like, oh, hey, are these guys going to get together? And not like, oh, these characters are so compelling, I want to see what further adventures they're going to know. You're like, no, I just want to know the one thing. I just want to know, are these guys getting together? You know, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you guys, for me, it is a 7.3, actually 7.3. Wow. That's our good buddy, Glenn Sontag's birthday, June 3rd. Happy birthday, Glenn Sontag, everybody. Yeah. So, you know him, Darth.
No, I was trying to think of if it was his birthday.
It was his birthday on July 3rd, yes. Anyway.
It's his belated birthday right now.
So this show was good. It was I think maybe what made it the best was, you know, the commitment by the actors. It was not as good as I know the show gets, and I think that if I watch this on first run, you know, if myself as an adult watches that on its first time, if I'm, you know, an adult in whatever this came out in 1990 whatever, then I don't think that I would have been that enthralled by it. So I feel like I might be influenced because I already kind of know the characters, and I already kind of know, oh, that's such a Phoebe thing to do, or it's interesting to know that, you know, how she's developed. But I don't think it was bad. I certainly don't think it was bad. I think that it was good.
Yeah.
But that's what we give it on a scale of 1 to 10. Here's the big question.
What did you give it? You didn't give it anything yet.
7.3.
7.
Oh, 7.3.
It really surprises me.
I just said at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so surprising, Darth? Why are you so angry? I'm surprised you gave it a 4. Rico and I are pissed.
I don't know. I feel like I just.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
I feel like you would hold it to maybe a higher standard, or so. I don't know. I feel like something. You're. I mean, it's good. You know, you're seeing it more like half full than half empty, or something. I don't know. I feel like you're cutting it some slack or something. I don't know.
Maybe I am. Yeah. Yeah,
Ryan,
I don't know.
Darth, I think you pissed him off.
Yeah. So, but that's question number 1. The big question is really all that stuff is, you know, immaterial. It's details. Big question is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Friends, entitled the one where Monica gets a roommate or something. Gets a roommate, yeah. But now that the podcast is over and we're all free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, of your own volition, would you watch the second episode of Friends?
So I didn't say this, but everybody else kind of did. I also didn't watch the show when it first aired. I remember it was like I was in high school, and I remember like it was like all the popular kids that used to hang out in the quad together. They like painted one of the benches and it said Friends, and like it didn't make sense to me.
Why were they popular?
I don't know why, but I mean, I was not a popular kid, but you know, I guess these kids were the popular kids. I guess, you know, like looking back,
graffiti artists were popular.
Probably they weren't. Well, no, it was like a thing where like the school would let you paint the benches in the quad because it was like a school spirit type thing. And I think in their yearbook they had like a Friends ad, like a thing where it said, "Friends, we're friends." Yeah, you guys remember that? We all went to the same high school, right, Rico?
Sure.
But yeah, it was like they were like we're friends. We're like, let's show Friends. Except there was like 20 of them or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so I didn't watch the show.
7 Chandlers.
But I think that kind of turned me off to it. The fact that they were into it, and so I didn't watch it for a long time. But once again, going back to if I had watched this back in the 90s, not having that sour taste in my mouth from all the popular kids, then I would have said yes, I would watch the next episode. If I were to watch it for the first time now, heck no, I wouldn't even finish the first episode. However, knowing it gets better, having already seen, it's an easy yes. I would definitely watch the next episode.
Okay. Darth's mind is blown right now. He's so lost, but he's like, "That's okay. I just got to figure out
like, what is going on?
I just got to figure out my answer because he's going to call on me at some point. I need to know.
I know I'm coming up.
I don't know when, but ooh.
Rico, what about you? Would you watch the second of your own volition?
Of my own what?
Volition.
Right,
It's a word. Look it up.
So, first time out the box, I honestly don't think I would watch the second, but later on, kind of like how I described it, I would. But first time out the box, first time seeing it, not knowing what the hell it was all about.
So which one are you judging it as right now?
The I would not watch it again is based on if I never saw it before, never saw an episode, and at the time when my interest just wasn't there for it.
But right now, he already did watch the second episode because the second episode is called "The One with the Sonogram at the End." And
well, then
so
that's
you don't know that I did. I could have read a synopsis.
You referenced
yes,
you literally said Ross was in the hospital with his ex.
You got your episodes mixed up. Okay, you're right. Rico's a yes. Yeah, he already did. He already did. All right, here we go. What about you, Darth? Did you already watch the second episode, or would you?
Hey guys,
I didn't watch the second episode. I did watch the show back in the day. I don't remember seeing the pilot. I enjoyed it back then, but now after seeing this pilot, it would definitely be a hard pass on that second episode. And maybe I've seen too many of the episodes, on reruns and stuff like that. That I don't even think if I was just to be channel surfing and I came up on the show, I probably wouldn't finish the episode.
Wow, Darth is not as white as I thought.
I would like to say that
that you did watch the second episode already.
Keep plugging a new series. Watch the second. No, I would like to say though that there is the argument on whether or not Friends is based off another show called Living Single. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have done it. Oh, wait, you guys did do it.
We have done Living Single.
That's right.
Is it?
That's right.
Is it pretty close? Like, is it pretty?
Well, everybody at home, that is WTF number 98. Our guest that day is the Star Trek actor Darnell Davis. Everybody loves. So go check that out to find out what did we think of Living Single. What did Ryan, Michael, and Darnell think of that show?
Yeah. And what show did we compare it to? Here's a hint: it was not Friends.
Oh, interesting.
Seinfeld.
Ryan, close your mouth.
I'm not saying.
You've never said that to me before.
I'll never tell.
So I'm going to tell you guys whether I would watch the second because I feel as though that's supposed to happen now.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, I'm even whiter than you think. Yet I still would have to give this a no based on that first episode. I would happily and gladly watch whatever episode happens to pop on the television one day when it's there, no problem. But after watching this first episode, there was nothing that compelled me to watch the second. I feel like they needed to shit or get off the pot. Either make it a Ross and Rachel story that makes us want to see the second episode to see where it goes, or just focus on the comedy. But instead, they kind of did try to do half and half. But that story between Ross and Rachel wasn't enough to make us want to watch the second, or me. And then they didn't put enough into the comedy to make, so I think in a vacuum, having watched that first episode didn't do enough for me to watch it, but I would gladly watch any episode that happens to be on anytime because I know that it's an enjoyable show. So that's going to have to be a no. Sorry to say, friends, but it's okay. I still love you.
Wow.
I'll say a couple other things though. Number one is that if you watch it in sequence, it definitely pays off because there are, storylines that kind of get tied all together. The other thing I'll say is, even though I would watch the second, probably not for a while because we just watched it at the end of the year last year. Actually, I remember we were watching the show around the time when I got called for the transplant.
Nice.
Like once again, we watch
October?
shows at night. At the end of October, November 1st is actually when I had the transplant.
Right. It was on
But
Halloween that you got the call.
Right. But I remember being in the hospital, watching the TV in the hospital, and Friends was on. There was like Seinfeld and Friends and The Office. Those was watching in the hospital.
Good options.
And then, but the Friends episodes that I watched, and that Angie was in the hospital with me sometimes, and she'd watch with me. It was actually right where we were.
No.
Yeah.
That is not fair luck. You're not allowed to. What?
Well, the universe loves me. What can I say? It's because I love everybody, like I said before.
That's not fair.
You put out the love, you get the love back.
That's it.
Is that how it works?
Is that how that works?
You should try it.
You know what that means, everybody? Give us some love. Like this video, give a bunch of ratings, share with your friends. Boy, throw money at your screen and do what you got to do, and it'll come back. If you throw money at your screen, it'll come back to you.
That's true.
Trust me.
I'll have nowhere else to go.
I've done it.
That's how it works.
Come right.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Sucker.
Well, that's about it. Michael, thanks for playing with us for 120 episodes. We're going to see you again. And, we
Almost. I was out when I had a car accident. I was out when I had the transplant. So
yeah, we,
technically Ryan is the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah, I went through a car accident and kept playing, right? I think, but I was hepped up. I don't even know what I said. I was just sitting there babbling on about nothing.
It showed.
Those are the ones to go back and rewatch.
I know. I should watch those and see what a weirdo I was compared to the normal guy I usually am.
Yeah, which ones
you the differences.
Anyway, but Michael and I are still, teammates and all that. It's all good. It's all love. Go ahead and tell him all your funny jokes, and he's still around. We'll see what happens. Check us out next week, and we'll go from there. Thanks to Darth. Thanks to Rico. Thanks to Michael. We'll be talking more, I'm sure. And I guess what I'm trying to say is this podcast had way too many friends.
Mm-hmm.
And terrible
acting. Podcast. Yeah. Terrible acting for sure. Not from Rico, but from me, yes. Although he did have a couple temper tantrums. However, this podcast did have a lot of love. Mostly
this
for me.
Podcast had friends that even had a black friend.
Ooh.
Finally. Say friends with benefits, Darth.
Friends with benefits. Isn't having a friend already its own benefit? I don't know.
Great.
Darth,
thanks very much.
Why do people complain about a friend zone?
Yeah, right. It's nice. You got yourself a friend. What are you complaining about?
Get in the zone, friend zone. All right. Everybody remember what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
I always love to say, and for one of the last times ever, I mean, when I come guest host, I'll say this again, but for one of the last times ever, don't forget to register to be an organ donor by going to donatelife.net. And when you're done with that, don't forget to watch the first of things, Daddy.
All right, everybody be Michael. Freeze frame. Great fingering, you guys.